Hello everybody, it's your pal Chrissy E.V.A here, and you might be wondering, am I gonna stop doing redraws? This is like the fourth one in a row this year. Are you gonna do anything else? Well, I do have one more kind of redraw thing in a way in the making, but I promise that I have original stuff coming out, technically. It just so happens that all my videos of redraws ended up being super close together. But for this one, it's kind of a sequel to this video where I redrew the black and white drawing of Mizumi. Also, thank you so much for the support on that one. Like, what the heck? I've never had like a normal video of mine do that well. And I know like a couple hundred views isn't that much when you think about how many other views other videos get, but for this channel that's quite a bit, so thank you. This is a redraw of a picture, which is also a video that I made in 2021 and didn't make in 2022. However, I have more versions of this one, and I have been redrawing this piece for 5 years now, which I think means I've been drawing for almost 5 years now, since this drawing was like one of my earliest drawings, which means I also have had this character for 5 years, which is crazy to think about. In that 5-year span, their story has changed a bit, and I'll go over that and all the changes in this piece throughout the years. So let's get started. This character's name is Sky, and they were created when I drew this first picture. It does actually look quite a bit different, and I actually used a 3D model from an app that I found to pose and semi-trace over. It's funny because I actually do use 3D models more now, but there was a time after I had made that drawing that I stopped using 3D models. I think maybe either it was because it was hard to transfer the models over into my drawing program, or just because I thought I didn't need them. But now, as I have talked about it before, I do use 3D models to help with my posing, and any pose that I'm not really familiar with I'll use. I won't like trace over completely like I kind of did with the first picture, but I'll use it as a good reference. I didn't use a pose for this one, but that's because I have gotten a better grasp at posing. You'll notice that I actually change the pose and expression slightly from drawing to drawing every year, and that's because for every redraw I wanted Sky to be in a different pose telling a story. However, I did change it even more in the line art, so that's why the final product's gonna look a little different than the sketch. But yeah, Sky's design has changed slightly as well, but really only in the colors. I removed a lot of the colors from their first look because it was a lot. There was like, I don't know, like almost 10 different colors going on there. But other than that, like I felt like the design from the first picture actually was really good, so it's pretty much stayed the same throughout the years. What's funny is that they have like a piece of hair over their eye, right? That's like a common character designing trope thing. I know I do that a lot, but you know. But originally I think it was just because I didn't feel like drawing the other eye, which is valid, you know. But I actually managed to somehow make it a part of their story. I won't talk about like how specifically, but I imagine there's like a scar there that they cover up. But it's funny that just somehow became like a legitimate part of their story. And yeah, it was something that I just did because I was lazy then, but now it gives me an excuse to not draw their other eye. So yeah, speaking of which, for a little info about Sky, Sky is a very chill person that's also very wise and patient. They're actually in the same story as Mizumi, and acts as a mentor character. I've talked more about the main story in that video, but to maybe quickly summarize, it's a story called Miracle. It's not my main story I'm working on, but it is like a fun little side thing for like characters of mine that I can't really fit into my main project. But in this world there are some people who have a miracle, like it can be like a little like animal thing or whatever that possesses them or like becomes part of them. that gives them powers, but they have to be almost wounded in a way in order for the miracle to become part of them. Sky is a miracle holder, but not fully possessed like Mizumi. They've been around a while and originally became a miracle after the destruction of their village, where they were wounded badly. That's when the miracle saved them, and years later they emerged from this sort of cocoon thing and started wandering the lands. Miracles can be assigned different roles by this grand guardian character, and Sky's role was actually an executioner of rogue miracles and other quote-unquote bad people. They were actually a pretty different person before. They were much more violent, and until they found someone who they grew close to, they just kind of went along with what they were ordered to do. But then they found this other person that they grew close to, but then they were ordered to kill them. After that, they realized what they were doing was wrong and abandoned their role and started down a new path. Obviously, none of this is translated here, like at all, but I didn't have any of the story planned when I made the first drawing. But I have made some other drawings that kind of show more of their story. So yeah, back to the drawing. There have been some changes in my style between this year's and last year's. The proportions, the way I draw line art with a more textured brush, and with hatching shading thing that I do with the line art, and the program I use. I use Clip Studio now. I drew the previous ones all in Paint. I think I drew the first one. Yeah, I drew the first one in Paint. And yeah, my shading style, however, has stayed pretty much the same other than some brush changes. It's actually pretty weird seeing the difference between this year's and last year's shading style specifically, and seeing, oh yeah, that's pretty much exactly the same. The biggest change really is the backgrounds. The backgrounds have always been interesting. In the first picture is actually really not that bad, although I do think I just used an asset for parts of it, like the city little horizon line thingy above the back wall. I originally wanted this to be like in a city setting, but that's changed. The second one, I just used an asset pretty much for everything except the wall, and the perspective was really off. This was the point where I stopped using 3D models, and I really wish I didn't, because ooh, that's bad. That's real bad. The third one was better, but a lot simpler, and it didn't really change much in the fourth one. But here, I wanted to change it back to a more detailed background. Last year was where I really improved my background and landscape skills, so it felt right to use them here. I wasn't sure what to do though, so I was playing around with some assets and models that I could use. It was just some pre-built ones in the program. That wasn't until I found this one. It's like this background thing. It's kind of like a beach with some rocks and some telephone poles in the water. It looked pretty cool, so I thought I'd use that here. I mainly just used like the rock things, and I made like a little like fenced off like wall in the back with some rocks on the edge of it. And I added the telephone poles because I thought those looked cool. The other biggest change was the color difference. Although it's a bit unintentional, each drawing has different colors that represent a different time of the sunset. For example, in the first one, it's still like mostly like daytime, like late afternoon feel. The second one, I'm not sure about the second one. The second one is really off like everywhere. I don't, this 2020 version one was rough. That was the year that I first got my my screen tablet for the first time, so yeah, it's okay. The third one had like a much more pastel vibe to the sunset, and kind of felt like almost like sunset was almost starting. The fourth one felt like it was an actual sunset, and the colors kind of matched more with that. But for this one, I decided to follow this pattern and made this light evening sky with the colors I use more now in sunsets and nighttime drawings. I also added in some nice clouds and stars because you can't get enough of those. I also improved the tree. Yeah, in the last one there was supposed to be a tree, and I think in the 2019 version as well, but you can't really see it other than the leaves, because like I said, I have been improving on my landscape drawings. I decided to add that in. After adding in the butterfly, I also added in some leaves in the foreground because leaves falling in foreground is a necessity. When there is tree, there is leaves, and they will be falling in the foreground. It's the rule, it's the law. Then I added some multiply and add glow gradients, as you do, and that was pretty much it. I always enjoy getting the dress guide every year, and I'm excited to see what I do for next year. Who knows? Maybe I'll change the design. Maybe I'll change the background again. I know I'll change the pose and expression. But yeah, for now, that's all I have to talk about for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the speed paint and my rambling once again. If you enjoyed this video, you can always check out my other videos. Like I said, there's that one other video that kind of correlates with this one if you want to check that one out. And yeah, all my socials are in the description link below, as well as my 2 comics, Mysteries of Distearia and Lost Hearts, that are on Webtoon, and Mysteries of Distearia is also on Tapas. Again, all of that will be in the link in the description below. I'm not gonna say that next video is not going to be a redraw, because it might be. It depends on which video I decide to get out first. But yeah, until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!